Been moved and seconded on approval of minutes from December 3rd. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion passed. Okay, everybody have a chance to look over the agenda? Anything they need to be changed?
What's this thing we have here on the non-compliance of mobile home and community?
That's something for later.
Just information.
That's just information.
Okay.
Yep, that's nothing for tonight. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion passed. Okay, any public comment out there on agenda items? There will be additional public comment later on. This is just for what's on the agenda.
You can use the mic.
Use the mic. I don't speak loud enough?
I don't know, I'm just telling you. You can use the Yeah, I would use the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, just.
Is it on? Oh, yes. Okay.
Be loud.
Too loud? Good.
No, be loud.
Okay, any public comment on agenda items? There'll be the additional public comments later on. That's what most people are here for. This is just on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, first thing we have is election of officers. I will open up the nominations for chairperson.
I'd like to nominate Judith Continue as chairperson.
I accept. Is there any other? No?
Second nomination.
You second? Okay, been moved. I'll close nominations for chair. All in favor of having me remain as the chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion passed. I am the chair again. Okay, I will open up the nominations for vice chair.
I'll nominate John for vice chair.
I'll second.
I'll accept nomination.
Any others? Seeing none. All in favor of John for vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion passed. John's the chair, vice chair. I tried to get chair. I'll now open up nominations for secretary.
Nominate Joe Vandenberg.
I'll
Second.
second. Okay.
I'll accept.
You'll accept? Any others? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of having Joe as secretary, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Motion passed. Okay, we all stayed the same. Next item of business we have is to do a recommendation for a moratorium regarding data centers for 90 days. Anybody have any comments on that? I think it would be a good thing to do. It'll give the board 90 days to go over and look at more information before we get any site plan for one. We'll have a little better idea of what they are and maybe we'll be a little more informed on that. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move moratorium for 90 days on data centers.
We can't hear you either.
Oh,
I don't have a mic. There, he's here.
there.
I move that we recommend to the Township Board a moratorium on data centers for 90 days to allow us to study the situation and get our facts and figures together.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
One thing I'd like to do during this time of the moratorium is to contact other municipalities perhaps that have one of these established within them, see what their attitude and opinion is, having firsthand experience.
Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of recommendation for a moratorium on data centers for 90 days, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion passed. We have no unfinished business. Any open discussion on issues not on the agenda? Seeing none, report of Township Board Representative.
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. Okay, Board of Appeals.
The only thing I have to
The only thing I have to report from the last meeting, which was last week, is that we did also re-elect officers for this coming year. I will be chair of the CBA, and Gerald Scalance will be vice chair, and Bernadette will be the secretary.
Okay, thank you. Report of zoning administrator.
Nothing to report this time, sir.
Nothing at this time.
Rick, could I add something?
Yes.
So one thing that I talked with Jerry about, and obviously all the folks that are here for tonight, is to talk about data centers. And so currently the Solon Township zoning ordinance does not directly address these large hyper data centers, and that's been an issue for some other townships. So my recommendation would be, and this is consistent with talking with the zoning administrator, that the Township Planning Commission take all the comments tonight, and then if you'd like we've done with other amendments, I can prepare an ordinance that includes all that and bring that next month.
Okay, thank you. Now we're on to additional public comments. This is where the public gets to speak. And we're gonna limit to 2 minutes per person. You need to state your name and address for the records, and after we get the okay that they have your name and address, that's when the 2 minutes will start. And because there's a big crowd, we're gonna try and limit it to everybody speaking once. So, because we'd all like to get out of here somewhat on time. And if you would, I would appreciate it if you'd silence your phones, if you haven't already. We don't need phones going off, and it would be a very common courtesy while someone is talking, if the rest of the crowd could keep it down so that we have a chance to hear them speak. And if you don't want them speaking while you're up here talking, why, it'd just be common courtesy to treat them the same way. So, saying that, I will open it up to public comments. We've got a microphone up here. And somebody is gonna be running the timer. Yep. So if anybody wants to come up and speak, you're welcome to do that right now.
Hi. Rebecca Smallwood, 3670 Bennington Drive. I don't have a state.
All set, Yvonne?
Okay.
I don't have a statement. I just have a couple questions that I'd like answers to that I'm hoping you'll be able to answer. Does that mean I can't ask questions or what?
We're not gonna be answering any
It's-
questions.
it's
We're
not
just-
any questions
no,
about the data
We're just
center.
gonna take down
It's
the
about-
comments
It's about process. Basically, I would just like to know what the role of this planning commission is in regards to the data center. Are you the ones that make the final decision, or is that the main township board?
the township board.
The main township board. And then can you explain to me what exactly you guys are gonna be doing during this 3-month moratorium to explore the issue further?
We have our regular planning commission meeting, and that's, until we get something, site plan from them, we will not be doing anything with it.
So you're not gonna be talking to researchers or
None of, yeah.
looking
I mean,
out
we're
there?
gonna try and and find all the information that we can ahead of time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Douglas Pierce, 1394 Dairy Lane. I had, I had some questions, but I'm gonna pose them just as, because you had this moratorium you passed in 90 days. So these 6 points, I just want to be sure that you would look into and be part of your discovery process you're going through. First one is the data size of the data center. Number 2 would be the type of cooling to be used for the data center. 3, how it's going to affect your electric bills. And if there's going to be any protections that exist to prevent cost shifting to households down the road. About the water cost usage, how it's going to affect the daily usage. Is there going to be any protection? Is it going to come, what sources are going to come from, the municipality or from groundwater? And how, if it at all, will affect the water rate or the water source availability for our residents here in Sullivan Township, especially water quality. About the jobs and benefits they come with promise. Are they going to have binding job commitments as part of this data center? And how many permanent jobs are going to be created versus the temporary construction jobs? And will there be any community benefit agreements made? And the final one is infrastructure cost. Who's going to pay for the transmission line upgrades, the water main expansions if needed, and any needed road improvements? And what tax incentives are going to be offered, and what's the net fiscal impact for this data center in the community? And another one that I just thought of is, will be if the site becomes abandoned down the road, they close it, who's going to incur the cost of closing that down and carting it away? Thank you.
Yep. Some good points. We will look into some of that.
Can you answer with your microphone?
Karen Running, my address is 2744 16 Mile, and that's obviously Cedar Springs. Sorry, we had to really. So just kind of tag teaming what some of the things he brought up, I just wanted to ask you guys to look at one extra thing, and that is if there is contamination to the soil, and this company is fined to the DEQ, that we'd like to see an equal fine to the town, not for you guys to pay, but to be paid to the township, so that money goes to where the contamination is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Ben Troniak, 14020 Shaner Avenue. That's in Cedar Springs.
Sorry, what was the name?
Ben Troniak.
Thank you.
In addition to all the points already brought up, whether it be increase in energy bill due to the massive draw of power that would be needed for a data center of this type, and the costs that would be passed on to the residents. I don't think we doubt for a second that a data center would be able to cut a really good deal with the power company, and eventually those costs have to go somewhere. I imagine that would all go to us. But there's also the cultural impact of the data center on this area. When we moved here 4.5 years ago, we moved from Kalamazoo. We wanted a place out in the country in a more rural setting. And I've already seen the impact on my kids as I'm raising them. I've got 4 of them. And a couple weeks ago, we talked about, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And my 2 oldest daughters say, let's see, one wanted to be a vet and one wanted to be a nurse, which would be, I don't know, a fifth change in a year. But my son said he wanted to be a farmer. And the fact that that came to his mind as a realistic job and something that he would want to do, you know, I knew right then, like, okay, he made a good decision that he would think of farming as a viable lifestyle, and to continually wipe away more and more farmland from the area, I worry about what that teaches our kids as we move forward. That's all.
Thank you.
My name's Albert Damsgaard. I live at 3097 Root Court, Cedar Springs. I have three things that I'd like to present, just to make statements on. Number one would be the noise that these data centers emit, because they do emit noise. And would it go against our noise ordinance? That would be one thing to look into. Second thing is electricity. Will the data center put their own little plant down for electricity to absorb the cost of the electricity? That would be another thing to look into. The third thing is the water usage. The water usage is equivalent for a closed system, medium size, is like putting 1,000 houses down. So that's what we're looking at. So that could drain a lot of people's wells. So the thing about it is, how would they handle the water? Would it come from Cedar Springs? Where would it come from? They're gonna put pipes in? I don't know. But if they're going to use just the land water, then that's gonna affect the 170 plus homes that are around the area. So that's another thing to look into. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
My name's Ryan Lachelle. I live at 2547. My name's Ryan Lachelle. I live at 2547 19 Mile Road here in Solon Township. Some of the stuff I'm going to say has already been said. My concerns are the water is the biggest one. If they're bringing water in to cool down their systems, it's got to come back out. So what are they going to do with that water? I grew up in a town called Elkhart, Indiana. I lived there most of my life. There was water contamination into our wells there from Conrail, dumped chemicals, destroyed all the wells. You can't have a well where I grew up anymore. I live on a well. I don't want to have to pay for hookup to my house because some company decided to contaminate the water or contaminate the water for all the farmers out here that water their fields through a well system. The other thing is the noise. Your data center is going to be put right next to an over 50 community. How's that going to affect our elders? I don't think people have really probably thought about that too much. And the electric, I'd like to know how you guys plan on stopping our electric from going up from the already absorbent amount most of us probably pay to even more than what we're already paying. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Lene Hauser, Hauser, 17929 Marsh Creek. It's been mentioned a couple of times, so I'm going to be repeating as well. But I'd like to see that there's a full environmental impact assessment and a public health impact review done on the potential data center, what that means to our community. Comprehensive assessments on the noise pollution, the water consumption, and the energy grid stability. I'd like to see what types of emergency plans would be put in place for battery leaks, spills, anything that's coming from this. How often would there be testing done on any types of backup generators? What types of air pollutants will those emit? Again, what would be the overall size of this data center? I'm sorry, I'm very nervous. Square footage, all of that. What types of tax abatements, exemptions, or incentives are being offered? And what is the return of investment to our town? What happens to that facility when it becomes obsolete in 10 to 15 years from now? Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicki Babcock, 2711 18 Mile. I would like to thank everybody for coming. Really appreciate that you're all concerned about everything. I'd like to see you here more often at meetings, both the township meetings and the planning commission meetings. I want you to know you need to go to the source if you want to make a difference here. The state of Michigan opened this up to data centers by offering them big tax incentives. You need to go to your state representatives and let them know this is not okay, because nobody is benefiting from these except the data centers. And as far as trying to keep them out on a township by township or city level, that's not going to fly. You need to go to your state representatives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Sitovich, 9497 Trail, Rockford, Michigan.
I'm sorry, what was the address?
9497 Whittall, Whittall. Presently, my sister and I own the property north of the proposed area. A couple concerns. Presently, there's a 66-foot right-of-way from 17 Mile Road to that property. Interested in whether or not that's going to be utilized. Secondarily, it's farmland, all right? Farmers have to compete enough with home builders, which is also necessary. Putting in a data center that creates 23 jobs or something to that effect. The gentleman at the end mentioned hyper. If we're talking about a hyper center, there's some extreme dynamics involved with water and electricity. As you're doing your research, Washtenaw County has put together a commission to look at resources that are available to you folks to further evaluate what data centers create, and the fact that putting a bond or something to that effect in place over a minimum 20-year period to make sure that energy and water costs are maintained at their current rate. And if the data center doesn't remain successful and does close, at that point, cash the bond. And perhaps that bond is used for some type of realignment of the building. The other part had to do with noise and ground movement. Our understanding is that the noise can be, or it is continuous. You do have 55 and over neighbors that will be sharing a property line with this data center. So I think that, as well as the ground movement that occurs, what type of protections will be put in place to keep people safe and still maintain the same community and culture that the area presently enjoys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Gard, with no U, just G-A-R-D, 12355 Hoskins, Cedar Springs. I've heard a lot of good points.
You all set?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've heard a lot of good points, but I haven't heard this one thing mentioned. Emergency services, fire, ambulance, and all that kind of stuff. There's gonna be an impact. Are the residents gonna have to pay for that, or what, you know? And how are they gonna handle the flux? You know, there's that center on White Creek. That's gonna be the closest emergency center. How booked up is that gonna get? 'Cause there's gonna be some industrial accidents while they're doing their constructions, if they're allowed to do their construction and for the residents, so. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Liz Clifford, 13797 Bluebell Lane. In 2018, Solon Township put together a long-term community plan guideline, the master plan, and it's available on the website for those of you who haven't read it. It extols the virtues of our rural community. It talks about the fragility of the streams and the waterways. It pays particular attention to septic systems and capping the number of septic systems so that you don't pollute the wells and the water sources for residents. And I'm curious how you're going to turn down your future residents when they want to split a lot or build a shed or put in a septic tank after you allow a $1 billion polluter to go in. That's all. Thank you.
Susan Taylor, 2535 16 Mile Road. Susan Taylor, 2535 16 Mile Road. I have concerns about the water, the noise pollution, the animals. We have a lot of wildlife. Where's that going to go? Yeah, I have wells there. I've lived there 30 years. Love it up there. My families love it. What are they going to do for the residents that are close? I mean, we're literally 300 feet from where it's supposed to be. So we're wondering what they're going to do about the water and the wells. And I think there's 5 of us on that side, and we didn't get letters. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Jim Van Sickle, 3594 Hollyfield Drive. The question about the farming, this center proposed, we're buying approximately 800 acres. The center would be, the data center would be built supposedly in the center. So you could still farm around the outside. You see these windmills, they farm right up to them. You see the solar centers, they farm what they can around those. So that is one aspect, and the electric consumers actually generates enough power that they sell to other states. So whether they would continue to do that, I don't know. We are protected by a Navy, an Army, an Air Force. A lot of the naval submarines have small nuclear plants, and I know nobody wants a nuclear plant in their backyard. But the state just refired up the nuclear plant over by South Haven. There's a lot of things that people can do and question. But I personally believe it's a good thing of the future, because we all use the data center in one form or another. If we watch Netflix, Hulu, if we watch any of the streaming, that's all through data centers. We want these things, but we don't want the equipment that they can make them happen.
Thank you.
My name is John Nix, 13358 Sunset View Drive, here in Cedar. My question is kind of for you, Ross, attorney, language. I've been looking through the zoning, master plan and ordinances, and it's kind of confusing. Light industrial. It was once industrial, you guys changed it to light industrial, and it's very vague. Is there any way we could tighten that to stop a data center coming in? I can't find anywhere what the zoning laws for a data center coming in. Is it industrial, light industrial, commercial? I do know that Orange Man Bad is making speculation about they have to have their own power source. I don't know if anyone knows, there's a gas line south of Moore's that can power a power plant. Is that something we can restrict, stopping the own power plant going in, because per Trump's orders, that is something that ties into the data center new rules and regulations. I'd like to read out of the ordinances, number 7 on page 86. It says, low-key industrial uses with limited negative impacts encouraged in this area. Adverse effects caused by these proposed uses should mitigate the requiring generous setbacks, screening, and buffering, and be very regulating land that uses to create noise, odors, dust, smoke, and other adverse effects in neighborhood properties. I guess all I'm saying is we're diving in there. I think everybody here wants this thing stopped. What can we do verbiage? I know you guys can't just say no data centers. I understand you're gonna get tore by attorneys, and that's why I addressed you. You're our attorney. Please help us.
Thank you.
Cindy Patton, 2207 15 Mile Road, and that's in Sparta. Thank you. Chairperson Seavey, I'm glad to be here. I'm actually part of Algoma Township, but within a mile of the proposed data center. And I'm excited because I sit on a couple of other community boards, and one of the things that we're asked to do actually regularly is sign a conflict of interest form. And that means that anything that I do for my business can't endanger or impede anything that happens in the decisions I make on those boards. And I was delighted to see that Solon Township actually has some really good code of ethics in place right now as well. Page 1, 3.0, Code of Ethics says the township officials shall act in a fair and impartial manner. 3.80, actions not for personal gain, that the township board, appointees, etc. shall act in the best interest of the township rather than for personal gain. 3.90, conflict of interest. Again, township officials, etc. shall not enter into any business relationships that would put them into conflict with their obligations to the township. I know the proposed farmland specifically, I think we've been given a great opportunity here in West Michigan to have pristine farmland, much better than most places in the United States actually. There's proper places for data centers to be put where land can't be used for anything else. We, I think, are almost obligated to keep it as farmland. When we have that kind of farmland, we have great growing seasons, we have local transportations with the 131 expressway, we have all those kind of benefits for there. There's a great place in 36th Street, right off of 131. The Shell, too bad they took the Shell down for GM. The data center could have gone there. The Planning Commission for Algoma Township just had a little summary given to them about why couldn't these data centers go up levels versus out, and they were told because the cost would be prohibitive. And I find that puzzling because if you're going to spend or have, and which I know from Sparta, offers of $160,000 per acre for farmland, it seems to me that the cost is not that prohibitive for something like this. Yeah, check my time. Thank you. I'll come back again another day.
Erin Hayes, 14656 Crescent Meadows Drive. I have a background in data analytics, data management, and authorship of corporate data security and governance policies. The Township Board stated that decision be made of factual evidence. The following reflects that standards. Sorry, I have a lot to say. Data centers exist to maximize corporate profit, not to serve as essential community infrastructure. If data centers did not exist locally, companies would still operate servers on-site or offshore. Corporate benefits are private, environmental and public health costs are local. Environmental and regulation concerns, I have listed. The EPA estimates digital infrastructure contributes hundreds of billions to trillions of hundreds of dollars annually in greenhouse emissions alone. Executive orders that have recently gone into place have accelerated data center construction, which has weakened enforcement of several major environmental protections. Reduced oversight means no reliable mechanism to protect air quality, water, or public health. Evidence that this rollback is already happening in our neighboring state of Ohio. Their EPA has proposed lower water quality standards for data centers to promote economic development, including reduced protections for Lake Erie, making it an ideal dumping site. This demonstrates a clear trend of environmental safeguards being sacrificed for industrial expansion. Michigan has more fresh water than any other state, placing
Janice mentioned, was tax centers, jobs and tax, or Michigan data centers receive long-term tax, sales tax and use tax exemptions through 2050 to 2065, diverting funds from schools and emergency services. Most jobs are temporary, not long-term. In Kent County, there's a center that was promised to create 1,000 jobs, made 26 long-term jobs. There are better alternatives, and I'm running out of time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Marina Warner, 151 Frederick. Okay. I wanted to kind of generalize a little bit because I have too many thoughts. The first thing is that AI isn't really panning out and it's not paying us back, right? So while we cut deals with these companies to come in, take up our land and pollute us and affect our climate here, I think we have to remember that we're not being compensated, that the jobs that they are taking from us, we're not getting paid to do those jobs anymore. We just are out of a job. We just are. Not to mention that all of the things that they say about AI, all of the things that it could magically do, unfortunately what they're investing in is not researching cancer, it's not benefiting us as people, it's creating garbage online, it's creating garbage information, it's just not panning out long term. Some of the other things I wanted to talk about. We already have water issues here. I don't think our electrical grid or water, she mentioned earlier, basically, that local counties matter, but it's the greater state. All of us coming together, we don't have a grid. We don't have the water. We just don't. And unless we somehow get more resources, I don't know how this could benefit us. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Graham Smallwood, it's 3670 Bennington. People have mentioned excellent points about the infrastructure like water and electricity stuff. I want to make sure you consider the internet infrastructure. Like, would the load put on the internet from this center require more T1 lines laid to the town? Is it going to affect everybody? And also, in response to somebody had a point about the things that we like about the internet, I want to make sure if you could verify there's a big difference between a data center and a server farm. Data center is just a bunch of processors used for AI, like they're saying. A server farm would be something that's actually hosting websites and providing content. Big difference. So if you find out the usage they're going to put it to. Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Anna Philposh, 13261 Pine Island Drive, Sparta, Michigan. Okay, I wrote something out so I don't go over my time. So while we don't know which tech company is looking at this land because it has not been made clear to us, I implore you to consider the potential that this could be a national security threat, putting a hyperscale data center right next to homes. Our country's adversaries are looking at digital information as like a part of modern conflicts. It's what's putting a big target on the backs of towns that have these potentially giant, centers that are housing people's data and whatnot. I also urge you to consider the potential future of Salon Township, envisioning homeowners near the data centers desperately trying to sell their homes after the water is dried up and their electric bills are no longer affordable. Who will want to buy their land or their homes in the shadow of the data center? Likely just more corporations or expanding on the corporation that already owns the land, destroying the local ecosystem, polluting the water further, and ruining what makes rural Michigan the home that we love. I fear that if we give them an inch, we're opening the door for them to be able to take a mile. Thank you.
Thank you.
956 Kendallwood Street, Northeast Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah, street, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Good evening, my name is Tim Rogers, and I'm speaking as an employee who works in Solon Township and cares about the responsible development. My concern is not technology, it's governance and accountability. If a data center is approved, who exactly will the township pay or designate to oversee its ongoing use of water, electricity, and other utilities? Who is responsible for monitoring compliance year after year, long after construction is finished? I've heard from property owners that concerns could eventually arise around quiet enjoyment, the basic ability to reasonably enjoy one's property. If operational impacts like noise, vibration, or infrastructure strain become an issue, that can lead to legal disputes. My question is whether the township has a clear plan to manage and prevent those situations before they occur. Once approved, this type of project is effectively permanent. I respectfully ask the board to slow down, demand clear oversight and enforcement plans, and make sure the township is protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Tony Maurer. It's 5035 Campus Hill Drive. That's actually in Okemos. So I am here. Oh. Yeah, 5035 Campus Hill Drive. Yep. So I'd like to give a little bit of a macro level look at what this is going to do to our utility costs. Almost everybody here, I'm going to assume, gets their energy from consumers. Consumers produce about 7 gigawatts of energy that powers about half the state. Currently in consumers' territory, we have 15 gigawatts worth of worth of data centers that is being proposed. Consumers could be a great company. I really struggle to see how any company is going to be able to massively upscale to that level without dramatically increasing rates on every single person in this room, every single person across the state. We heard earlier that we should go to the source, and I totally agree. Most of this wasn't happening until the state did approve large amounts of corporate welfare for these data centers. I'm helping out Tom Leonard. He's a candidate for governor, and he has a statewide petition that is going to be companioned with a bill introduced by State Representative Jen Wertz. It is calling for a statewide moratorium for 1 year on all data center development, and also a repeal of that corporate welfare. I will be standing in the back, and if any of you have not received that flyer yet, please find me. I would be more than happy to give it to you so that we can encourage our state reps, state senators to do the right thing and slow all of this down. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dwight Polson, 15430 Oklahoma Avenue. I appreciate your time that you're going to spend on researching this for 90 days. I do appreciate that. I've lived in Solon Township for 35 years. I was raised on a farm. This proposed site is what I've seen as some of the most beautiful farmland in Solon Township. Like I said, I don't know a lot about all this, but where you guys are doing your work for us for. We'll find out more in further meetings, but we have people struggling in this country every day. And when this farmland is gone, it's gone. You cannot make more farmland. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Waddell, 1021 South Coolidge, 6 Lakes. Well, as I just told you, my name is Amy Waddell. I grew up in Solon Township. My parents are residents here. But tonight I'm speaking to you as a farmer's wife. I didn't fully understand what it meant to be a farmer until I met my husband. We were dairy farmers, and if you know anything about that practice, it's some of the hardest that you can do. Cows must be milked every day, and if you didn't grow quality corn and alfalfa to feed, you didn't have quality milk, and your cow's health would suffer.
Through my farming experience, I learned the importance of what it means to be a steward of the land. A steward of the land is a caretaker, a person who responsibly manages and protects land for current and future generations, a person who uses sustainable practices to maintain ecological health, biodiversity, and natural resources. It's a relationship of care rather than a mere ownership. Good farmland is farmland forever. The land in question at this meeting has been farmed for almost 55 years, and it's still considered fertile land. To sell out to a data center with a projected life expectancy of 15 to 20 years will render that land useless. It will never be farmable again. There is a responsibility to the land and its resources, and how we choose to use it in this township. A data center is irresponsible. Tonight there's going to be talk about money and how a data center might benefit the township with tax revenues, and it might even provide a handful of jobs. This is not a balanced scale. The negatives of what a data center will do to this township environmentally outweighs any monetary contribution. Sometimes it's not about the money, it's about doing what is right.
My name is Phil Hayes at 146, say it again. Phil Hayes at 14656 Crescent Meadows. Go ahead. Data centers deter people from wanting to live in the area, therefore we suppress the local economy rather than contribute to it. Sorry. Water contamination risk. Data centers use industrial cooling systems with toxic chemical coolants, including PFAS, forever chemicals. PFAS persist indefinitely in biomacula and are linked to cancer, immune suppression, and developmental harm. Any leakage threatens groundwater, surface water, and drinking supplies with damage that can't be fully remediated. Better alternatives. Residential development provides stable tax revenue, supports local businesses, and strengthens workforce availability. It delivers greater long-term community benefit with far less environmental harm than data centers. And noise pollution. Continuous noise from HVAC systems and diesel generators range from 85 to 100 decibel levels known to cause harm. Significant noise pollution causes sleep disruption, stress, cardiovascular risks, cognitive impairment, and hearing damage. And over 800 peer-reviewed studies document severe impacts on wildlife, including death of pollinators, reduced breeding, and habitat abandonment.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Brower. I live at 1819 19 Mile Road.
Lisa Bauer?
Brower, B-R-O-W.
Go ahead.
I have a really simple question for you. I'm a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and a teacher. Is this the legacy that you want to leave for the children of Sullivan Township? That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Denise Merrill, 2814 19 Mile Road. I guess it's not really, I'm blown away by the fact that you want to dump one of these data centers on that farmland. They're environmental nightmares. That land will never be used for anything again, and God forbid if there is a breach and some of the chemicals they use for cooling this water and stuff gets loose, it'll decimate this area. They are forever chemicals. And it seems to me this area has had a bout with forever chemicals a while ago. Haven't you learned your lesson? Keep them out of our ground, keep them out of our water, keep them out of our farms. Farmlands and all the livestock, everything they grow, they sustain us. We should be backing that, not this crap. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Bo Demovac, 13237 Algoma Avenue. I live right on the intersection there, and most people who live in this area know that Algoma and 16 Mile is already dangerous enough as it is. Lots of speeders that curve right through there. I've seen my fair share of accidents and people get hurt. So a big problem I have with this is the infrastructure there in the roadways, because I can guarantee you years vehicles in and out, men and women that are gonna be working on that project. Hopefully it doesn't happen to begin with, but there's long days put into that, and there will be tired eyes leaving there and heading to that site, and there will be more accidents and more people hurt. And quite frankly, I don't think a data center is worth even one life, if you ask me. Thank you.
My name is Joshua Berg. I live at 1233 Hoskins Avenue in Cedar Springs. I'm not sure if this is an AI data center really yet, because we haven't heard a whole lot about it, but I'm going to operate under the assumption that it is. AI is still an incredibly speculative venture at this point. There's a lot of players in the game, and very few none really have found a way to determine if it's even going to be profitable. It currently is not. By anybody that's playing in this game, they haven't found a way to meaningfully make it profitable. Given that, I just don't think it's the township's prerogative to make that bet for the township or the people to make such a risky bet on such a speculative venture.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Smith, 12150 DeMar Drive, Greenville, Michigan, but own property in Solon, Michigan. First, I just have a few questions, and I know you say you can't answer them, but I want them answered eventually. Who decides that this farmland gets to be switched over to whatever, industrial or light industrial or whatever it is? Who is that? The 7 of you that are up here on this board? Or do we get to decide that, or is that just yours? Who makes the final decision if this goes in? Or if you 7 get to decide for however many people are here? Hopefully, it's not just the 7 of you. Hopefully, there's no money involved into your pockets. I know that Cindy said that it's not supposed to be that way. I'm not saying it is. I've just heard different rumors, and again, I hope that's not true. When is this supposed to be approved? I know you just gave yourself a 3 months moratorium, but you said you weren't gonna do anything or look into anything. So that makes me a little concerned. We're just waiting 3 months and then you're gonna look into stuff? I don't understand that. And will there ever be a vote? Or just you guys? That's just my big thing, because there's only 7 of you. I'm not sure how many people are in here, but I bet if we just asked people right now, do you want this in or do you not? Answer yes or no. No. That's just a small vote. I don't even get a vote because I don't physically live here, but I have property here and I don't want it here. And there might have been 2 people that said they want it. So you need to look at that as, I've lived here my entire life. I grew up at 16 Mile. We don't want it, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dave Johnson, 37719 Mile Road, Cedar Springs. I'm new to all this. I usually don't get into all the township stuff, but being a farmer my whole life, seeing the developments that have come in that have impacted farming, period, I really think you guys should look into some of that stuff to preserve our township, our farmland, everything that's disappearing. I mean, I deal enough with the DEQ and all that stuff. I really think you guys are gonna have problems with that whole thing. So just keep that in mind. Let's keep some farmland around here, especially for our kids or grandkids, all that stuff. So thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis Gillian, 60 Pecan Avenue, Cedar Springs. Thanks for hearing our really concerns. We lived in Cedar Rock our whole life. Me and my wife and my 2 daughters raised we're invested. We see that, I was just thinking, I've got relatives that live in Cedarfield, which is the Delta White community right there. How would you like to own some property there? How would you like to own a house in that place right now with this kind of talk? I don't think property values would be going up or houses would be going up. I see where our governor is the one who issued the tax exemption for all the equipment. And this is the same governor who, during COVID, was on a boat with her husband up in Traverse City. So that's telling me that she's pretty much not even, understanding where we're at. So I'm just having a hard time with this. I think that, seeing you guys, I know you're level-headed, I know a few of you guys, and we just, we want the best. And as this decision goes up the wrong, who's ever gonna make this decision, I hope they use, instead of AI, artificial intelligence, they use good godly wisdom.
Thank you.
Hi, Kendra Bright, 151 Frederick. I'm not gonna echo what everybody else has already said. I don't want it. I think it's bad. I don't think there's anything good from it. But I do have a request. I feel like it's very shameful that, I didn't find out that there was even a data center being proposed until 2 days ago when I was scrolling through Facebook and somebody had posted it in the Cedar Springs Informed. I feel like there should be a lot more communication with all of the residents of the township and the city that are going to be impacted by this. So I guess I hope that's my request, that we actually spread the word so more people know about this.
Thank you.
My name's Paul Hurd. I live on 19 Mile, 985 Northeast. And I got not a whole lot to say about it, except for one thing. There's children in the area on 19 Mile. They build it up. Now, what's gonna happen to the children over around that thing with all the traffic? How much cement's gonna be poured? How much gravel gonna be brought in? What about these kids? Kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids are all gonna have to put up with this traffic? And then who's gonna fix the roads? The one down in Lansing, we're gonna raise Stolen Township gas up to $1 a tax on it. Wake up. We don't want it. The children don't need it. School buses, contractors, we don't need it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nate Rayburn, 16845 Tyrone Ave, Kent City, and 2695. Nate Rayburn, 16845 Tyrone Ave, Kent City, and also 2695 Indian Lakes, Cedar Springs, which is literally giving me the shadow of this. Two questions. I don't know the answers to these. Number one, you've got 800 acres. Is this eminent domain? It's hard to imagine that much consecutive acreage is being acquired any other way. Number two, what's gonna happen, not if,
worse off than the people that do, that are. But I would just like to ask, I understand you guys are in a very difficult situation. I appreciate you serving this great community. I've lived here 5 years, and I grew up in a cesspool of Southern California. And I came to the country, and now it's home. It's beautiful. The people are great. This place is special. And we make it that, all of us do. And we believe in the God that it says to love everybody. But I'll tell you what, I know every single one of you wouldn't want this damn thing in their backyard. And then let me ask just last thing. Do you think Aldi cares about all the car accidents that happen out in front of that damn place? Because there's no stoplight. But see what happened because of something that happened. I think we all gotta support each other. Because when this economy is going down the tubes, I don't know if anybody realizes it, but we're in deep trouble with the bond market. I'm not trying to spread fear, but like, we can't continue with this direction of this country, and we gotta unite and stop bickering and fighting. It's the division of evil that is trying to divide us all. We gotta come back together, and this is where it's at. It's America. It's a community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kara Bolt, 3598 Woods Drive. We heard at the beginning of this meeting that the board passed a 90-day moratorium regarding the data center. But I would argue that 90 days is not enough time. There's so much missing research, due diligence, transparency, and just answers from both the township and the developers. Ever since our state government passed legislation that completely failed Michigan's people, land, water, tech giants have been banging down the doors of small communities everywhere because they know that they have a very small window before the wave of public dissent rises and we completely chase them out. They know that. We have a small team of people in the back at the table. We are asking for a 9-month to 12-month moratorium on this. And Solon Township leaders, if you're thinking 9 to 12 months is way too long, let me remind you of what happened in 2017 when Sable Homes approached you guys about building condos. At the time of the master plan, it was indeterminate what size space they wanted to use to build condos. Solon Township placed a 1-year moratorium on the condo developer so that they could determine the lot size. You guys have all been taking notes, diligent notes. How many questions are on there? How many things are undetermined at this point? After that guy who owned the condos approached the board again, they placed another moratorium. So they were up to a 1.5-year moratorium because they didn't know what size lot they wanted to use. Doesn't a hyperscale data center project of massive proportions and complexity deserve way more scrutiny than condo development?
Hello, Julie Baker, 15476 Simmons Avenue. Okay, so I just want to reiterate what the other young lady said. I think we need to look at this from a security perspective. Hyper data centers will be a high-value target to bad actors, and I think we really need to determine how we're going to keep our communities safe. It would just take something as easy as hopping on a plane from Spivak Airport, right? And we've seen people come into this country and do similar things. So I think we need to look at the security aspect. Thank you.
Thank you.
here, 1651, 17 Mile Road. For the folks in the room, they know me and my wife are both precinct delegates to many of you here for the Republican Party of Kent County. I understand what this woman just said. We need a longer moratorium to discover what's going on, all the things surrounding the data center, if that's what's being proposed. Personally, I know a lot of guys here at the township. I spend time with them throughout the day. I want to avail myself. I think you guys are going to have to form committees. Obviously, you guys aren't going to be able to do this by yourselves. I'm going to avail myself, and I hope others in the community too, to be on a committee. And each of us should take certain tasks, whether it be electrical, water usage, infrastructure, whatever the case might be. And we need to come back to this community with good, honest answers, pluses and minuses, so they can make a great decision. My biggest concern, though, is that we do give ourselves plenty of time to do this, and I would recommend at least 6 months to a year. Based on what this woman just said, it would make perfect sense. Thank you.
My name is Dave Lowe. I'm at 15065 Tyrone Avenue over in Kent City. The one thing I would say is, this is all farmland, it's zoned agricultural. Are you guys under any obligation to change the zoning to an industrial use so they can do this?
Thank you.
Laura Marshall, 2664 Mearsma. So, every level of government, there's a lot of talk about transparency. I think that's very important. I will be very honest, I don't know a whole lot about this. It's kind of been mentioned that it seems like it's sort of slid in under the table a little bit. All of a sudden, there's a data center. Feels to me like it kind of came out of nowhere. So we really need that transparency. I would ask, this may be a very uninformed question, but I would ask that there be some type of really obvious central place that the community can go to get updated, relevant information. Could be a great communication opportunity. If you have questions that you want the community to answer, you could post them, but we would have a very obvious central place to go to get information. I also want to caution you that with lack of transparency, then of course the rumor mills start. I've heard a lot of really ugly rumors, but that's what they are. I don't know if there's truth to them or not. Someone kind of alluded to the idea that maybe there's some compensation happening in the sale of the land. I truly don't know, but there's going to be a lot more negativity and I think a lot more pushback the more it's kept under wraps and kept secret. So it really needs to be open, honest, very transparent, and a very open avenue for communication as this process moves forward, whether the data center happens or not. The communication is imperative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Trevor Walder. I live at 14511 Eldona Ave here in Cedar. Relatively new resident, moved here. I was in the cesspool in Southern California for a little while, so I understand that. You don't want that. So when we bought our home, my wife and I, the whole idea was to set up stakes, have a family, and we're well on our way now. We had our first child about 2 years ago. What we loved about the area, and still do, is just the rural atmosphere. You know, there's not a data center for at least, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 miles or whatnot. Yeah, they're around and they're up and coming, whether it's for AI or servers, that's a big deal, but, to piggyback off of, what the last contributor said, rumors and things like that do get spread. It's no coincidence that AI also plays a part in spreading terrible rumors and things like that, so we're entering a bit of a cyclical system here. I know that I don't want it, since I'm about a stone's throw away and worried about property values and things like that, water, noise pollution, all of those things. There was another gentleman that spoke about the safety of the roads in Algoma in particular. Really bad traffic, lots of drivers that are in a hurry, and things like this are probably only going to exacerbate the problem further. And then the last person also said transparency. Whether it's an online forum or someplace where folks in the community can be made aware. I mean, just like a lot of people, I only just found out about this tonight. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to send out letters to everyone within a 10-mile radius, residents, businesses, and whatnot, just to alert them about things like this, because I think there's a lot more that could be said. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Andrew Thompson, 380 Pioneer Trail, Cedar Springs. First off, thank you all for serving. I appreciate everybody who puts the time and effort into these small government activities. I understand that you guys aren't the owners and sellers of the property. You're not the buyers of the property. You're not the federal government. You're not the state government. I don't want you guys, though, to walk away with all these other things. You're not the power company, they do their thing. You're not the county road commission, they do their. There are things that this committee is directly responsible for that can impact this. You don't have to change the zone. It could stay agricultural. If they want to sell it, they can sell it. If you want to buy it, they can buy it, but you don't have to change the zoning. There may be things to address water and wastewater, such as maybe making it part of the PA 425 agreement, and thus part of the Cedar Springs, and an ordinance. You have to hook up to the city water. That will change their view. That will protect the water table of the wells in that area, and things of that nature. So there are things like that. There are ordinances that can be done. If you're worried about either air pollution or sound from generators or other things, these are ordinances that are within the purview to at least suggest, even if it is the township that enacts them. And so I just want to remind you that while you're hearing a lot of things that you're going to think, well, maybe that's somebody else's area, there are specific parts of this that are totally within your wheelhouse that make an impact. And then, once you've made your decision, they can make theirs on whether they want to continue with that deal or not.
Thank you.
My name is Josh Isley, 1077 19 Mile Road Northeast. First off, I don't envy any of you guys right now, because I would not, yeah, that's wrong. But the other thing I would say is just to think about with all this process and during the moratorium, I mean, there's people that are gonna live right across the road from this, and think about if that were your house. I mean, do you wanna open your back door in what used to be a field, or beans, or corn, and now you stare at a dead center, and you walk outside, and all you do is hear it hum. So,
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I'm Rob Hall, 14180 Algoma Avenue. Recently, we just changed the zoning from, I think it's Edgerton all the way to Algoma. And the reason I was told at the time was we needed more commercial
all of us are pretty vocal about them, that's probably why we're here. However, I was very much raised that our feelings don't matter. What matters is the facts and the laws. I don't need you to tell me what I can do with my property. I'm not asking you to tell the current owner of the property who they're allowed to sell to and not sell to. But what I am asking for is support and helping us, my generation, the younger folks coming up, to know that we can rely on our local government and that we don't have to just not care because you're going to be crushed by the lawyers and the money that backs the corporations. There has to be something between, you know, asking you guys to support us and supporting you in rioting in the streets, like in all the other horrible news that we're getting these days. So there has to be some way besides counting on our grade school and high school teachers of this is how basic government works to help bridge that gap. So if there's anything that, resources that are available, or, you know, more than just checking a website for the technologically illiterate, or letters for me who never checks my mail, there's gotta be more resources out there so we can get involved and not rely completely on you, us, other than just voicing our concerns. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Last chance. Seeing none, we will close the public comments. And Ross, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No. I'll prepare something for you guys to look at next week, next month, incorporating all this.
Okay, we've made notes and we're gonna.
As we discussed, I'll take these comments and prepare a draft amendment for you guys to look at next month.
Okay, I appreciate everyone for coming out, and I feel this was a very good meeting. We got a lot of questions that need to be answered. One thing I can tell you, there's a lot of the questions you asked, we cannot give you an answer for until we get a site plan. We have not gotten a site plan yet. Right now, it's just in the talk stage that they want to do it. Once we get a site plan, then we will know the size of it and all that. And until then, all we're gonna do is try and educate ourselves as best we can. Yeah, or an application. So, saying that, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same. Motion passed. Meeting adjourned. The next meeting